I don't know what the source was. It's from Princeton now. You can imagine what's going on there. Proteins with cruise control provide a new perspective. And what does it say? The team at Princeton University discovered that chains of proteins found in most living organisms act like adaptive machines possessing the ability to control their own evolution. Gee, isn't that amazing? The research, which appears to offer evidence of a hidden mechanism guiding the way biological organisms respond to the forces of natural selection, all the buzzwords, right, provides a new perspective on evolution, the scientist said. And then, I'm going to just cut a chart here. The discovery answers an age-old question that has puzzled biologists ever since Darwin. How can organisms so exquisitely complex, they recognize that, they're exquisitely complex, if evolution is completely random, operate like a blind watchmaker? How can they do that? That's a good question, isn't it? Our new theory extends Darwin's model, demonstrating how organisms can subtly direct aspects of their own evolution to create order out of randomness. You get that? Inanimate substances are going to direct their own evolution, intelligence, right, to create order out of randomness. You don't need any intelligence. I mean, it reeks of intelligence. All the complexity and everything else just reeks of intelligence. But you don't need it because evolution develops intelligence in these chemicals, in these molecules, right? Well, we just eliminated intelligent design and irreducible complexity and the supreme force or being that's necessary to provide that, right? Okay? And here's one last one there. How evolution learns from past environments to adapt to new environments. Evolution learns. Intelligence, right? Evolution has intelligence. Science Daily. The evolution of novel characteristics within organisms can be enhanced when environments change in a systematic manner, according to a new study by the Weizmann Institute. Okay, these people say what? They suggest that the environments that vary over time in a non-random way, I don't know any things that varies over time in a non-random way if it's left to natural consequences, because the second law of thermodynamics is always working, right? So that's kind of a ridiculous statement to me. Varies over time in a non-random way. It would have to be already organized and controlled, I would say. Evolution can learn the rules of the environment and develop organisms that readily generate novel, useful traits with only a very few mutations being required. Interesting. Isn't this amazing? I mean, now we've come all the way down the pike, and now we've made evolution itself an intelligent thing. Evolution is the intelligent thing, when it's supposed to have been just a process, just a mechanism. I mean, does evolution have a brain? Does evolution have any supernatural powers? I mean, how do you define evolution? You can redefine anything the way you want and make it say what you want, and that's what you get, right? You get this kind of bunk coming out of it. I don't want to say what it really is because it's vulgar, you know. But it reminds me, and I'll close with this little thing. One guy that I really appreciated a lot in his radio ministry and elsewhere was Adrian Rogers. Love Worth Finding. Some of you may have been familiar with that ministry. I got hooked into him a long time ago when I became a Christian. And Adrian had good stuff to say. He was a good fundamental Bible-based preacher. He always came in with these little poems and things. Now, whether he generated himself or got them from somewhere else, I don't know. But there's one that I remember that he generated. I might have modified it a little bit because I couldn't remember exactly what he said, but it still fits. There were these two apes, and they were discussing the nature of mankind. All right? And one ape says to the other ape, what is the nature of a man? I simply cannot understand. He defies our God, lies and kills, does whatever that he wills. Yet, would you believe this ornery cuss still thinks he came from one of us? Think about that. These are the people we're talking about in these reports, right? Still thinks we came from those apes. What a shame. Well, if there are any questions, I'm happy to answer them, and it's been a pleasure. And I hope you got a little bit of something out of this. Appreciate it. Too much chemistry, huh?
If I understand you right, basically you're saying that the reactions that produce proteins, polymers of amino acids, cannot occur without the mechanism in a cell.
That's right. That's the thing. See, all of these guys are trying to do these reactions under simulated conditions, but they're not the realistic conditions that provide the result. That's exactly the problem.
And it takes proteins to make other proteins.
Well, in a sense, that's true.
Enzymes are proteins.
Enzymes are proteins. They're controlling molecules. But their structures and their variation is so enormously complex. The biggest thing right now in biophysics and biochemistry is the folding mechanisms of enzymes and of course, proteins. Trying to understand those folding mechanisms. Why? Because they found out how critical the folding structure is to the function. And I just mentioned you that IBM Blue Gene computer thing takes them a year on the high-speed supercomputer. Nobody could ever afford to pay for that project, right? But IBM. And they still didn't get the result of a simple protein folding, which the normal condition does it in a second. It's amazing. I mean, I don't know. I really, if I wasn't a scientist myself and didn't know a lot of what was involved, I would begin to wonder whether science is ridiculous.